You're listening to Popcorn and Politics. What's the real deal? Hosted by Audrey Bell Kearney and Derek J. Wilson. Asking the hard-hitting questions you want answers to. From political leaders and political hopefuls from around the world.
Hold on. There we go. There we go. Good afternoon. Good afternoon. With my hair. I got my hair down today, Derek. Got my hair down.
I see. Looking at you.
It's so funny because I never wear my hair down, y'all. And I'm looking at. I was gonna get it cut until I put. I was like, oh, I can't get it cut. It really is actually is grown, so I can't cut it because I was about to chop it all off.
Let it blow in the wind.
Yeah, I guess so. I guess I'll let it blow in the wind. So how you doing today?
I'm doing great. How about yourself?
I'm doing fantastic. I went to a fight last night, and I've never been to a live boxing match. Someone asked me too, like matter of fact, my husband asked me. So Marvin Hagler was my daughter's grandfather. And I had never, when I met his son, he had stopped boxing. Like he stopped boxing in 88. I met his son in 91. So I had never gone to a real fight. So last night, his grandson, my daughter's cousin, had a fight. And when I tell you, I was up close and personal, I was like, oh God, like it was painful to watch because, so, they have like the fights leading up to the main event. So they had some short fights leading up to the main event. And Derek, just to see them guys get beat up like that, it was just like, it was painful to watch because I watch football, right? But when you watch football, the guys just get back up and they keep going. In the ring, when somebody smack you and they hit you in your gut and they doing them gut punches and you look, I was like, oh, it was painful. It was painful.
Oh, so you was that close, huh?
I was that close. And it was, I was like, oh God, I don't think I can watch. I couldn't go to a fight all the time. And I remember my daughter's great grandmother saying she never went to go see Marvin fight because she just couldn't take it. Now I understand why. And so my daughter was sitting there going like, is this what Grandpa used to do? And I was like, yeah, but he used to go 15 rounds. Like he was a
I think now it's what, 12?
Well, Derek, they did like 4 last night, and so them guys were like, wow. they were passing out, and by the 4th round, it was like I'm done. I was like, oh my God, this is crazy. But anyway, wow. I just had to share that with y'all because it was crazy. I had never been that close to a fight, and I was really sitting ringside, so I'm like right here, like the whole thing. So the whole thing.
Oh, okay. Like, you had the ringside seats with the mink coat on, huh?
Yeah, we was not. I had no mink coat. I should have had a mink coat on because it was very cold in there. It was freezing, as a matter of fact. But his family flew down from Boston, so the whole family was in the house, and friends and other fighters was there. Holyfield's son was there because he's a friend of the family. It was crazy. It was really nice, but it was as a parent. Yeah, there's no way I could have sat there and watched my son just take punches like that because in your heart you're thinking you're gonna knock him out. He's gonna hit the floor. People want to fight because you hitting that guy too hard. It was crazy. It was very different. I don't probably think I probably won't go to anymore because it was really rough. It was rough.
Well, they have female boxers too, so you can get your daughter in there.
You think my daughter gonna go box? Like I'm stuttering saying that because can you imagine her getting there unless somebody punch her in the nose? I think not. I think not. She did take a picture one time. It was funny. She did a photo shoot and she took a picture with some pink gloves on. I think it was, but it was for a photo shoot and she sent it to Marvin. And I think he freaked out because he never wanted any of his kids or grandkids to fight. Like he just felt like boxing. After the Sugar Ray fight, he felt like boxing wasn't the same anymore. And he didn't want anybody to fight, like not even James. Like James loved boxing, but when it came to that, he was like, don't do that. Do something else. He really didn't want them to fight. So, but James loved it and he stuck with it. So, but I gotta tell you, it was rough. But anyway, let's get on with some politics.
Yes, ma'am. Well, so, it's been an interesting week.
Yeah, go ahead.
Oh, yeah, I was saying it's been an interesting week. We had municipal elections throughout the country. The Democrats got a blow.
Yeah.
They lost some governorships,
yes.
and some other important seats throughout the country. So maybe that's a wake up call because actually I think it was a wake up call because right after that, the House finally passed the infrastructure bill that was been sitting there and tiller tattling for the past couple of weeks, and so it's been an interesting week in politics. Had some wins locally here in Georgia, as well as some uh, some big races that they should have won throughout the country. Some of those were won, but we also lost some major seats. In one particular, the Virginia governorship.
Yeah, everybody was watching that one. Everybody was watching that, and they was like, um, that seat right there is going to be telling for the Democrats. And I was like, oh wow. So when I woke up the next morning and he had lost, because I had to take a minute from politics because I would go to bed at night and me and MSNBC we just like I just had to stop. But anyway,
Yeah.
everybody was talking about that seat and they were talking about that was a major loss. So what does that really mean though? Like he lost the governorship, but what does that really mean for Democrats moving forward?
Well, this could be a sign that Democrats need to get up on their game and step up to the plate come 22, because 22 is the midterm elections, and it would be nice if we can hold on to our seats. I mean, historically, a Democrat president get into office, they lose the midterms. I mean, it's almost like it happens with every administration, because a Republican get into office, they lose the midterms. Uh, so we have to, in order to withstand, we have to, be more inclusive, and stop all this back and forth fighting, and stop blaming everything on Trump. Okay, Trump
Mhm.
was in office. Now it's time to move on and lead. I mean, Biden has to stop stumbling. I mean, the Haiti situation was a stumble. I mean, he has to get better, and he can no longer blame Trump for pretty much anything at this point. Just, you're the commander in chief, you're the president. Whatever responsibility, the Afghanistan, he tried, just whatever the situation is, take responsibility on it and move forward. Uh, you know.
With the infrastructure plan, there were some Democrats that did not vote for the plan, including Alexandra Ocasio, and her reason was, we she felt like the Build Back Better plan should have been passed first, and I was like, and I'm looking at the plans, like, well, I kind of agree, like, I mean, like, are we? But do we need it? Do we still need the Build Back Better plan right now? And maybe that was the
Uh,
point of like we're going to put that one second.
Actually, we needed both. Both of them is,
Mm-hmm.
is, is needed. Um, I respect AOC's opinion and her passion, but I feel like we have to continue. We can't get everything we want, and it seems like a lot of with AOC and a lot of other people that follow her is like my way or the highway, and we shouldn't be like that. There should be some compromise. Uh, push the president's agenda. You know, that was my biggest issue with the House when Obama was in office. I felt like, I might get in trouble for this. I felt like Nancy Pelosi was one of the biggest hindering blocks for the Obama administration, because she was too busy politicking with the Republicans, that instead of moving forward, push the president's agenda. Because if you look at the Republicans when Bush was in office, and you definitely look at them when Trump was in office, they push the president's agenda. And we get in there and start trying to politics, and not trying to say that we supposed to lower our standards and more, and but push the president's agenda. uh so this is one that passed. Now is go back and move on to the Build Back America. I don't see why she would vote against it, but I mean, it's beneficial to her constituents just as well as the Build Back America is beneficial to its constituents. I personally felt like that was a bad vote, but we all have, well, not we, but they all have their you know, vote of yay and nay, and she chose to vote no. Hopefully that doesn't come back and be an issue for her. Uh, but because there has been a lot of Republicans, Marjorie Taylor Greene in Georgia, she voted against it, and that's pretty much the rallying cry for her opponent now. Like, um, but also I know Carolyn Bordeaux was on the fence, and I know a lot of people, a lot of ads, and a lot of not protests per se, but a lot of constituents that were doing writing campaigns, phone calls, to get her to vote for it. So the Democratic constituents wanted this infrastructure bill. So as a Democrat to vote against it, I just hope that doesn't it isn't costly because we do not need to lose any seats. If anything, we need to gain more seats in order to continue to fight for democracy and push this country forward.
So locally, one of the biggest upsets I think locally was the Atlanta mayoral election. I thought that
Yeah,
was pretty. I was like, "Ooh, we." I wasn't expecting it. I'm gonna be honest. I felt like I kind of thought Kasim was gonna pull it out, but not only did he not pull it out, he didn't even make it to the runoff. I thought that was pretty interesting.
yeah. I mean, it was definitely a I felt like a referendum on Kasim Reed.
Mm,
But you know, I mean, his administration was plagued with fraud. You know, accusations. If I can't remember if there was convictions, but I do know there was fraud investigations, and he kept on saying, "Well, it wasn't him." But the old saying, "Birds of a feather flock together."
locked
So,
together.
uh, just
You're
like
guilty
the
by
Democrats,
association.
right? Just like the Democrats, say all of Trump's administration were corrupt, and they say Trump is corrupt. I mean, as they say, what's good for the goose is good for the gander. So, I mean, I was surprised too. I thought he was able to pull it out, but you know, I mean, because he spent a lot of money. His attack ads was all over the place, and so now I'm just interested to see who will pull out. I tell people just because you're in first place does not mean you will win that runoff. Speaking from experience, so
And
Felicia
and
Moore would
and,
definitely
and
have to work.
I definitely want to talk to that because I felt when I looked at some of the things that Andre was saying, he was being a little arrogant. If you ask me, he was like, you counted us out, but we here say blah blah blah, right? And I'm saying to myself, now I looked at the numbers last year, and I saw Derek was in the lead and get to the runoff, and like what? So I was like, okay, is he being a little bit arrogant about that? Because he was like, it was pretty much like, I'm here, they counted me out because I wasn't well known. And then I was like, oh, okay, I see you. What do you think about that? Because he's run against Felicia and she's fought a strong fight so far. And I'm not saying he won't win. I felt like, okay, maybe you should just kind of like a little bit.
Well, so from a person who was in the first place position, um, I think the first place can get complacent. I
Mm,
won it. I, I actually got the most votes. I just need you to come back. Do it again, and I think you get complacent. If now, on the outside of this, hindsight 2020, I see otherwise because on the outside I can see that the second place actually has the more momentum because especially if you in a position where people thought you wouldn't be. I mean, you would think in my situation I would have been, in a position because I was definitely in a spot that no one thought I would be. Uh, but a lot of things come into play. I was dealing with actually some personal illness at that time, so I was in the hospital literally right before the election. So a lot of things can come into play, and so in this race, I really feel like Felicia Moore would. She definitely had to stay on top of her game. She might need to pick it up a little bit. It's probably going to be hard for her to get Kasim Reed endorsement due to the his
mm-hmm.
platform, how he was running against. He was an anti Felicia Moore, so most likely he will end up endorsing her opponent. And I mean, she has to get the support of those other candidates and their supporters. Uh, that's her whole focus, and that's really both of their focus to go out and get the support of your fellow candidates that lost. If you can get that, and if you can get your people to return. That was my major. I was not able to get my voters to return. If you can motivate them to return, historically, municipal elections have a low turnout, and so imagine a municipal runoff. you know. So it's going to be interesting. In some parts of the state of Georgia, I think less than 200 people voted. Uh,
Derek, I want to. It was, I think, somewhere over in Decula. I was like, wait a minute. Like, I want to say one of those elections, it was 140 people that went out. And I was like, well, how many people live? It was crazy. I
yeah.
was like,
So
how
imagine if it
many
was a runoff. You
people? Yeah,
know, to get people to go back again. Like,
right.
so it's a challenge. Atlanta is a big city, major metroplex, so well, major city. So maybe they'll be able to, convince their base to go back, but they need to be prepared for smaller numbers, but they need to push, and to be totally honest, they're back at square one. They both at 0-0, and anyone can win.
Yeah.
So
Well, you know that anybody can win. It's not over till it's over, and
it's
definitely
not
not over for
over
them. They have
till
to
it's
go back to.
over.
So they got to politic from now to November the 30th. They got to make people want to go back to the polls again. And so, then that's like, let me tell y'all something. It's so crazy. And I got references with bowling, right? So I get up to bowl. I bowl a perfect ball, and I knock down 9 pins. And I'm like, Lord have mercy, that could have been a strike, right? Now I got to go
Yeah.
back and bowl the second ball, and then I miss it. This happens
Now
all the
you
time
gutter.
with me at bowling. It goes either goes to the gutter or the ball spins out to the left and miss the whole pin on the right that I'm trying to aim at. It's crazy. So that's extra work you got to do. But here's the thing: you want to win it, you got to do the extra work. Um,
All right.
there's a
I mean,
lot
but
been
they have a
talk.
lot of challenges going with them. Thanksgiving.
Yeah,
That's a what, 3 days, 1, 2, 3, 4 days after Thanksgiving. Uh, Hopefully, people didn't take 2 weeks off, and if they did take 2 weeks off, it's the week before and the week of, not instead of the week of and the week after. I mean, it's a lot to early voting. Uh, they would have to push early voting. Don't know when that starts. I would think early vote would probably start next week. Uh, it's just a lot. Think about it.
yeah.
It's Thanksgiving, Black
I
Friday.
know.
It's just Cyber
Black Friday,
Monday.
Cyber Monday, Small Business Saturdays, all of that
Yeah,
one
all
that
that.
one
And
4 or 5
so,
days.
and then you gotta tell somebody, I gotta go vote. you know,
Yeah,
that's
yeah.
that's gonna be a challenge. And so,
That's gonna be interesting to see. But I do think this. I think that you should kind of be a little bit leery of being, a little cocky. Just do your thing. Don't think that you won because you haven't won until you have till you have won. And for
right.
some candidates, we haven't known that for like a week. So you have not won until that you have won. I want to jump over to these maps and these lines and all because a lot of people don't understand what the heck that means. I know you do, but a
Yeah.
lot of people don't. So when you drawing the lines for the map says this. The map, what does that stuff mean? Because a lot of folks don't know what that means. I don't. I'm doing this show so I can learn. No, I'm just because I like
So
politics.
so every 10 years in the US we have this thing called the census. And then, people think, oh, the census is just for the US to count, see how many people in there. Uh, yes, it is to count, see how many people is in the country, but it also determines, funding, and it determines lines. And when we say lines, we mean districts, areas, whatever you want to call it. And you have it determines the federal lines for the U.S. Congress people. It determines the state lines for the U.S. I mean, for each state's House of Representatives, and House and state senators. It determines each counties, how they broken down, whether they have commissioners. I know in Texas they have, well, there's commissioners, and then you have a county judge, and so it breaks down how your district is, and in some cases it could go all the way down to your school board, and how those lines are drawn based on the areas. But I think those are more based on attendance of those schools. Um, and that's important because I know, well, I ain't gonna say I know. I would hope that everyone who studied any part of the U.S. history heard of the term gerrymandering,
Mm-hmm.
which is when a political party draw the lines, either based on race or based on to benefit them. Usually, gerrymandering is done by a particular party, and is based on racial lines. So you draw this line to put all the minorities, or to cut the line if it's too many minorities based, and so this particular person kept winning for the past 10 years, or this particular party kept winning for the past 10 years, well, we gonna cut that in half and dilute it. And it's I mean, people, the lines are serious. You go to court over it. It could be big fights over it, all the way up to the Supreme Court. uh, it's big. Not only does it determine your elected official, but it also determines where money is spent, attention is paid, and it's a major ordeal when it comes down to redistricting.
Now let me ask you this, because I think this is the part that probably confuses a lot of people. So they draw the lines, they gerrymander, they do all these things they do, right? But when you go to vote, it does not change the way you vote, and I think that's the part that kind of throws me off. So let's say,
Well,
for
it
instance, here
can,
in Gwinnett County. Okay, tell us why I can, because if I'm in Gwinnett County and they draw this line and I'm on the red side of the line, but I'm still voting blue. So that's the part, I guess. It
but
didn't change my
but it
vote. It just changed the line.
it changes who you vote for. uh as in, let's say, like, okay, right now, if let's say you live in, I'm just throwing out some numbers, let's say you live in District 1, and your representative is, Jerome Jackson, and then they draw the line, so now you no longer live in District 1, you live in District 2.
Hmm.
So you can no longer vote for Jerome. Now you have to either vote for whoever the District 2 people candidates are, the incumbent is. And since you use Gwinnett as an example, one of the House seats, two seats in the Gwinnett County. Again, I'm just gonna throw random numbers because I don't. The maps are out there, but uh, I believe it's House 106 and House District 105. I believe. Well, those are merged now, so now it's just
Mm,
one. So those two state reps will either one of them will have to bow down, or step down to let the other one take over the whole area, or they will have to basically run against each other to see who would get that seat.
mm,
So it matters. Or like in District 9, uh, their population outgrew, so they end up redrawing the map. So now District 9 covers a different area, and now another uh, Senate seat, Senate senator will be covering that area. And based on population, you may lose a seat, or you could gain a seat. Uh, like I
wow.
remember several years ago, maybe the last census, the 2010 census, I was still in the city of Houston. Well, based on the census number, the city of Houston ended up having to add a new city council, a new district,
Mm,
due to
hmm.
the population. So, uh, it goes all the way down to the city level. Uh, you know,
Well, I could see, well, Gwinnett is growing so rapidly. Like everywhere you look, there's like development for new houses. I'm talking about everywhere. Like I was driving Chandler Avenue the other day, and I hadn't driven that road in a minute, but it's houses. They're building a whole subdivision over there. They're everywhere, like everywhere. I went down Rosebud one day, and I used to love driving Rosebud because I felt like even though I was still in the city, when you get on Rosebud in a certain part, you in the country look like, right? Not
yeah,
now. It's
yeah,
houses all over there. Even over in Grayson behind where Sam's on Main is, they're building a whole subdivision back there. So
yeah.
I'm wondering, will it ever be a time where we have to add more commissioners or whatever? Because I feel like we're just growing rapidly, like quickly.
Well, that's definitely a discussion that they are having or will be having in the coming months, weeks, months, probably early January. Because again, it's every line from federal, state, county, city. Well, city if the population grows, or the city can get new posts or whatever. But same thing with the county. The county lines will be redrawn. Uh, will an additional or two uh, districts be created. That has yet to be determined. Is based on the population. Mind you, Gwinnett only has five counties. Well, I mean five commissioners. You have a chairwoman, and then you have four commissioners. Other counties like DeKalb, they have like nine.
Wow, really?
So yeah, and so it's other counties have more than five, and then some only have five. Some have three. It has to be an odd number, so it wouldn't be a tie. But so
But
Gwinnett could gain two more, or they could
Gwinnett is
draw it
bigger than
first.
DeKalb, right? Yeah, Gwinnett's the second
Population
biggest.
wise,
Yeah,
yes, but
yeah.
it's all based on each county's governmental structure. Um, the line could be drawn roughly. Each commissioner have anywhere between 250,000 represent residents, and so um, if that can be drawn and can stay within that 250 per commissioner, then they may just redraw the lines to make it balance out. But if they can't, then that's something that they will have to consider. I do know years back, probably 14, or maybe it was 10, or maybe it was 2000. I do know I read years back that a state legislator was one of Gwinnett's state legislators was pushing to add more county commissioners districts. At that time it didn't pass, so um, we'll see. It would be interesting if it does, though.
I know it would
It
be.
would be
I feel like
interesting.
we're gonna need them though because of all the. I mean, heck, I'm out riding and I can even go downtown Lawrenceville, like behind what's that Perry Street. If you go down Perry Street, there's all
Yeah,
new construction. It's new construction everywhere. It's
I
crazy.
mean Gwinnett is definitely growing. They have that new theater that they built in Lawrenceville, which I can't wait to go visit.
Me too.
uh and so it's lovely. Then the parks there. Gwinnett is building new parks, and it's growing. It's growing.
It is growing. I think some people are worried though. There are a lot of people who are saying, you know what, we don't know if we want all of this growth, this rapid growth we're having. But here's the thing, I don't see you being able to stop it honestly. And when I look at all the construction that's going around, I just don't see it. I know one of the big major things right now is where Gwinnett Place Mall is, and they're asking for the input of the public. Like we want to know what you want us to put here, which I think that's pretty cool because
Yeah.
you get to have a say so in what goes in that spot. Now, my guess is that even though you get to say that, it's still gonna be like a mixed use development over there. So,
Yeah.
I don't know
I think
exactly.
those are interesting though when they do those surveys and those elections. And again, I'm originally from Houston, and the Astrodome. Um, the
Astro
Astrodome
what? Astro who? No, go ahead. I'm sorry.
the
Go ahead. Sorry.
Astrodome, which is it was built back in the 80s, 70s, maybe, and supposed to, or the 60s, one of them. It was supposed to have been the first. It was the first dome stadium in the country, if not the world, and it was this big deal. And so I remember, again, before I left, moved from Houston, it was on the ballot at least twice of what to do with the dome. And every time the city didn't get what they want, they was like, okay, yeah, well, we'll scratch it and do another plan. Or it's just, I have a feeling that at the end of the day, uh the counties, cities, whatever, still end up doing what they deem is best. Because at that time, that's when Houston had a bid for the Olympics, and so they would want to turn it into one of the stadiums for the Olympics, and then they didn't get the bid, and and then the residents voted against it. Actually, the residents voted to just demolish it, and they were like, "No, we're not doing that." And
Hmm.
so um, with Gwinnett Place Mall, um, this is not the first time there's been a study or a survey out of what to do with this mall, and so me personally wish they just hurry up and do something with it. Don't keep. That's the biggest thing to annoy me. Don't keep asking me what I think about something after I already told you what I think about it. If I say I like it, I like it, I like it. Don't you sure? You sure? So and that's what government seems to do on a regular basis. Ask for your input, and if it's not what they have already planned, they'll scratch it, push it down the line a couple of more years, then ask again, hopefully that you know the population thought pattern change. Transportation is one of them that they
It's
keep.
so it's so funny. You want to see some people heated about some topics? Go to next door, right? I don't know if you
Oh,
ever. Oh my God, people on next door. People on next door. They hate the fact that it's growing so rapidly. I went down Grayson Highway, even right here in front of the fairgrounds on Lawrenceville, right? So it used to be 36 acres right there, and now you go there, all the trees are gone. They're about to build something. So what did I do? I go to next door, like, what's gonna be, what are they putting on Snellville across from the fairground? Well, what did I do that for? Everybody's just pissed off about, all the adding more houses is crazy. You want to know about next door? You want to know about what people think? Go to next door, and they'll surely tell you there. I want to say this because I was on next door. Speaking of next door, I was on next door, and people were talking about how their property taxes, I'm talking about, they are high.
yeah,
I was surprised. And so one lady was like, yeah, blaming on Tiffany Porter because she got a raise when she got in the seat. And I was like, but did she really? Like, because she didn't
yeah,
get a raise, she got her salary. But
right.
she was like blaming on Tiffany Porter because she got in there and she requested a raise right out the gate. And I had to like drop my 2 cents in. Like, did she really though? Like, you need to go back and check that out. But the taxes are nuts.
But what's interesting about it, so people complain about the taxes, right? Oh, the property taxes, they're all too high. They too high. Then those are the same people say, well, don't put that over here because it's gonna lower our property value. Your taxes is based on your property value. So you don't want this
Mm.
development because it's going to lower your property value, and then you're the same one that's in the line complaining about your property value is too high. You know, uh, you can't have both sides of the spectrum. You have to pick a side. And also if you look at the majority of the people protesting are people who live in neighborhoods that somebody else was protesting against. If you
Mhm.
have not been in your home longer than 20 years, 9 times out of 10, the people that's been around 20, 30 years, they protested your neighborhood that was built. And now you protesting that, like if your house is less than 10 years old, somebody protested your neighborhood. They didn't want your neighborhood built. And now all you're doing is complete, the cycle. And people don't understand that it's a cycle. And one number one complaints you hear is renters and transit people. We don't want those here. And I find that interesting because one, everyone can't afford to own a home in Gwinnett County. One. And two, just because you are a renter doesn't mean you do not care or you're not concerned about your area. I mean, I'm a renter and I ran for office. I'm a renter and I'm on boards and commissions and I'm very active in my community. Uh, and I can point out other renters who are very active in their community. So but a lot of people don't know that. They automatically assume, well, Derek, you showing up to this, you must be. Oh, I know your property taxes are high. Yeah, I don't know. I know my rent is high. I know my rent is high. You know, and so it's like those are the things that are interesting because people don't understand what they're asking for. You don't want this development here because it will lower your property value, but maybe your property value need to be lower so you can stop complaining about your property taxes.
But
Yeah.
Derek, I don't even think people know that. They don't know why their property taxes go up. They just know that, and they went up substantially according to some people. But they probably don't even know why their taxes went up. Because if you're saying that the reason their taxes went up is because their property value went up, well, heck, look around. I saw a house down the street from me that originally sold for 180. The house is on the market right now for 399. It's the
Yeah.
same house on the
Yeah.
same land. I'm like,
Yeah.
what? The same house on the exact same,
Same
nothing
land.
changed.
Yeah.
It was 180, now it's 399. So I think people need to understand, like, why are my taxes going up? It's not because according to what you just said, it's because the property value went up. Well,
It's
look
it's
around you, everything is going up.
it's because the property value. I remember when the article came out in Gwinnett County that the county commissioners have voted to leave the millage rate the same, and people are like, oh, what that mean our property? I mean, what that mean our taxes are going up? And I'm sitting back reading this like they literally voted to not raise the millage rate, but people saying their taxes are going up is because your property value went up. You know,
Mhm.
like but when your property value goes up, that's associated with your taxes, that's associated with your insurance. I hear people say, "Oh yeah, my insurance premiums on my home it goes up every year. That's ridiculous." Well, your premiums go up because the value of your home goes up, so therefore your insurance goes up. All that is connected because, like you say, $180,000. So when you bought that home for $180,000, you had insurance coverage for $180,000 worth of home. Would you be pleased if you found out that 20 years later your home value is $300,000, but something happens and you only have coverage for $180,000? You wouldn't be too happy about that, would
Mhm.
you?
Right.
So if your house burned down today 20 years later, you'll be mad that if you're like, oh, well, when you bought your policy, we didn't want to raise your rates. So we kept you at the original rate that you came in at 20 years ago at $180,000. So unfortunately, it cost you $300,000 to rebuild, but you know, and so people don't understand that all that is connected. Not saying that you want your property values to go down because when you're selling your home, you want that profit, but understand that your property value is more than just the equity that you're about to cash in when it goes up. Your property
Yes.
value is associated to your taxes and your insurance.
I'm telling you, a lot of people don't know that because I remember I saw one guy. He said, blaming on Joe Biden and the Democrats, it's their fault. And I'm
Yeah,
like, really? Like, is it
yeah,
really? But so but I do have to say this though, Derek, because I'm looking at, like, my brother. My brother moved here last year in November. Matter of fact, he's coming up to a year in Thanksgiving, and he's been trying to buy a house. Right now, what was crazy is, had he bought the house last year when he saw the first house, he was messing around. I'm gonna get it. I'm gonna get it. I'm gonna get it. So he's messing around. Now he can't get one
yeah,
because the same exact house that he saw last year, and I want to say the house was 390. It went for like five. The same house, nothing changed. Same house. What was crazy is the house was on the market for a long time. When he went to go put a contract on it, by then the owners had said, "Okay, well, listen, wait a minute, sir. We can get another 110,000 off this house. We gonna hold off for it." So they took it off the market. They
yeah,
literally took the house off the market and put it back on. Got 500,000. He went to go look at a house last week. He was flying somewhere. He put an offer in after he got off the plane, like literally. They bid over the house. I think he said 50,000 over, and they were waiving the appraisal. And I was like, who would do that? So we are in a different time. And you said something interesting, right? You said something about renters. There is a development company that's doing some development right here in Gwinnett County, and it's rent. It's a renters program. They're building single family homes just to rent. I was like,
yeah.
really? Just to rent. And
Now
they're
I can
gonna be,
see why that could be a concern,
yeah.
because not everyone, not everyone's the same. And I tell them, I tell people that when they say, "Oh, renters come in and they have no vested value, so they just tear up the place." And I say, well, not everyone's the same because you have renters that come in and actually better the area that they live
Hmm.
in, that they're renting in. But just like you have homeowners that buy property and then let it become horrible, you know. I mean, they're buying the property and they don't cut the grass, they don't take care of the outside maintenance, so now you got, it's deteriorating. So I mean, we can say the same thing about homeowners as they say about renters. I can see a issue that they will have when it come down to a whole community, a single family home full of renters, because that out of, let's say, out of 10 houses, maybe two or three of them were actually, you know. take care of that house, and
Well, this
you
is
know.
my guess because let me just say this: when I moved to Georgia 8 years ago, um, we moved. I wanted to move and I wanted to buy a house, but I didn't know what. When I got to Gwinnett, I didn't know nothing about Gwinnett County. I didn't know anything about this area of Georgia, period. Because I was originally born in Albany, so when we
Right,
moved here, I know that I needed a house, and the house had to be a certain way because I was bringing my whole family with me, right? So I
right,
told the lady, the realtor, I said, "Listen, I need the house. It needs to have this, 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 and this, and they need to accept the dog." And she said, "Okay." So she found me a house to rent. I fell in love with that house. I was like, I want to buy this house. For years, I tried to buy the house from the landlord. For years, she would not sell it. She wanted to sell it this year.
yeah,
She wanted to sell it to me this year, and I fought myself because I fell in love so deeply with that house. If I had moved and just bought me a house somewhere else, I would have been fine. But I love my neighborhood. I love the house. We treated it like it was our house. It was crazy. I went to the home association meeting, couldn't vote on a thing because it wasn't my house. And I,
right,
I remember the lady saying, "Miss, you can't vote on anything." And I was like, "Why not?" She said, "It's not your house." I was like, "Oh." And I kept trying to buy that house from that woman. I remember in 2019, I was on a cruise. I had just got on the ship, and she called me. She said, "I'm gonna sell the house. Are you ready?" And I said, "Yeah." I'll call you when I get off the cruise. When I got off the cruise, there she had changed her mind.
oh wow,
She had literally changed her mind.
wow,
And I was so excited. So she held on to that house, forever. Fast forward to January, well, everything, my whole life just flipped upside down. I didn't have seven people living with me. I didn't have, I didn't need the house.
yeah,
And she was like, I'm ready to sell. I'm like, I don't want it because
right,
I don't need it. Had 7 bedrooms. So what do I do? Well, I'm not going to pay $399 or $499 for a house that's really 180. I was like, I can't see doing that. So what did I do? I rent it.
right,
Hell, I should have bought the house. Excuse me, I know this. I should have because my rent is just as high as a freaking mortgage, if not
yeah,
higher. Well, let me say this: my rent is high as a mortgage would have been back then, not now.
right,
Because my brother looked at that house and I said, "Well, how much is your mortgage going to be?" He's like, "Oh, it's going to be like 2,600." I'm like, "Oh, that's pretty much people are renting that right now." So
yeah,
I just find it interesting how right now, and I don't know, I don't even think there's anything we can do about like what's happening with real estate right now. I saw one realtor say we can expect this trend to last for another year and a half, going up 16 to 18%. So
yeah.
that's going to be pretty interesting.
Yeah, and then that's another thing. People feel like renters are these low income, but I mean, like you say, rent is more than a mortgage sometimes in
Yep.
some situations. And so
Hmm.
um and like in our case, we're comfortably paying our rent, you know,
Yeah.
and it
And it ain't
and
little.
yeah, and it comes with, perks, our yard get cut every 2 weeks. Rain or shine, they are out there mowing this yard.
What? We cut
Yeah,
our own yard, shut the front door. We
yard
always
get cut.
we cut out our yard. We went out and bought a riding lawnmower to cut the yard. So nobody cuts out. We literally paid the things that the homeowner probably should have been paying.
But that's
We
how it
took.
was in our when we first moved to Georgia. We was in a rental, and like you, I offered to buy that home multiple times, and the landlord did not want to sell. the The landlord wanted to sell when I said, "Yeah, we're moving out." Oh, whoa, 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 well, nah. By that time, we didn't already found interest in something else, you know.
Hmm.
But mind you, we was there 5 years,
Yep, I
and
was at eight.
every year when it was time for renew, I was like, I really would be interested in purchasing. Oh, we're not ready to sell right now. Okay, it was time for the renew, and I put in 60-day notice. Oh, well, where you going? At that time, we were in the process of buying a house, and that was a totally different conversation for another day. But that was disappointing. But we was in the process of buying a house, and so we were like, nah, we was building a house from scratch, and so it was like, no, we decided to go a different option. So she was upset, and then she ended up selling the house. Like once we moved out, she sold the house
Yeah,
to
well,
a
that's
to an investor, like a company, but she sold the house.
wow. Well, because that's
Mhm.
what happened. So what happened was what's going on right now, and I don't think a lot of people even know this, is that there are a lot of hedge fund
Yeah.
hedge funds that are buying up all these houses, because you kept saying, well, why are there no houses on the market? Well, they're buying them up and they're renting them. And the
Yeah.
reason I know that is because a realtor said to me when I was about to move, because I was like, well, I don't want to buy this house now. It has a lot of issues because, you know, she wasn't a very good landlord, and we could do as a renter, but she wasn't good, and I didn't need all that space anymore. I was like, well, I don't need 7 bedrooms, 3 people,
Right.
I don't need all that room anymore. And so the guy said to me, the realtor, when I went to him, I was like, look, I need a place, and I need to just get this over with, because I got 8 years worth of stuff, and I want to say another word, but I don't want to
Yeah.
be politically incorrect. But I got 8 years worth of stuff in my house, and it's just I need to get rid of it. And he said to me, he said, Audrey, you're gonna have a tough time, because a realtor, they make $200 off a rental. I was like, really? He's like, yeah. He says, so what you do is you find one of these hedge funds companies, and you go to them and they'll get you a house. And he gave me two, and I went to one, and just like that, Derek, I was like, what the heck?
Yeah.
That's when I learned about the hedge fund. So I was like, okay. So what I said to my husband, I'm like, look, I want to build a house, right? I want to build a house. I want to build a ranch. That's our plan. We need to make that happen, because I can't keep paying what we pay for rent when we could be paying for a mortgage, and it's out.
Exactly. I mean, I feel the
So
same way. I mean, we've been buying property or land throughout the
right.
state, but I told my wife, I said, I guess we need to start looking at land where we actually would like to live at.
Oh
Uh,
yeah.
you know,
Y'all
but
should see something in land Derek bought, right? He sent me up to buy a piece, right? And I went up there and I was like, I'm not buying no land. I'm not buying no land. It was hilarious. I was like, yeah,
yeah,
I'm not buying no
yeah,
land here.
I'm not living out here.
So I did the
But
population. I'm just gonna be honest with y'all. I was like, let me go. Are there any black folks that live there? No, none. So I was like,
you
nope, not
know,
doing it.
I'm just looking at it as an investment property. But what's interesting about it, so we live in the exact same neighborhood where we were getting our home built at, uh, in a brand new house. So these neighborhoods that they're building, 500, 100 some odd houses, uh, probably 20 of those houses are being sold to investors for rent.
Yeah,
So we're literally living right up the street, which is a bittersweet because we get to see it, but then it's like, that could have been us.
yeah. But
But we
like I
still in a new
always say,
house.
right. And I always say this. I say this to my brother all the time. Like, he's been having such. He was like, oh, that just made me sick, because the house he has to have a. I can't swim, so I don't care about a swimming pool. He
Yeah,
has to have a swimming pool in the yard and all this stuff. And I said, yeah, that wasn't the one for you. So I had to constantly say that to him. Like, he keeps me on track about some things too. But when it comes to certain things, I'm like, that wasn't the house meant for you. So don't sweat that house. The house that's meant for
yeah,
you is coming. Like for me, like I felt like I lived in that house for 8 years and I loved it. And but in reality, I want a ranch. I want a
yeah,
beautiful 4,000 square foot ranch. That's what I
yeah.
want.
I don't want a ranch. I want a lot. I want a lot of land, and
I want a lot of land too.
basically that's the same thing that I had to come to grips with because, every now and then I was like, man, I should have bought that house, when she asked me, and my wife was like, well, no, when you wanted to buy it, it wasn't available. She didn't want to sell it, it just wasn't meant for you, and so. I mean, now we're just looking for land. I'm like you. I'm ready to build on some land that I own and want to circumvent the traditional mortgage companies because that process is totally biased and is
Yeah.
biased based on racial lines that people want to deny. But uh, for an article to come out a year later about that basically talked about my entire experience as a person that was trying to buy property, a home in Georgia, it's interesting. It's definitely interesting. It wasn't the finances, and it wasn't the money, it wasn't the credit. It it's an algorithm that come down to it where you know 2 days or a day before closing, you know we get denied after qualifying, after being approved with conditions, meeting those conditions, and then get come back and ask for something that doesn't exist.
Yeah, I mean, right
Yeah,
now I feel like we are living in such crazy times when it comes to all these different type of things. My brother went to go look at a house, and it's a new construction, and the guy just I don't even know what he was thinking. I said to him, "Well, did he ask you? Did you have them?" He said, "Oh, you never even asked." He said to him, "You're gonna need $24,000 of clothes," and he said, "Okay." And since and he didn't call him back. I said, well, "Did he ask you? Did you have the 24,000?" He's like, "No." And he had the money. He never even asked him. He just assumed, or he just, I don't know what it was. I think it's crazy though. You would think that we have overcome some of these challenges that are still there, and they're not. They're still there. People
Oh
still
no.
discriminate. They all kinds of things. It's just, I just don't know when we get past that. Like, do we ever?
I don't know. I mean, it seemed like in this, in order for, a minority, a black person to have a house, they have to buy the land and build it themselves. I mean, you get, I'm not gonna say black home ownership does not exist because it's there, but the hoops, loops, and bound jumps that we have to go through. I have a white friend who was making suggestions throughout the process, and I was like, yeah, that wasn't even offered, to us. And, and the white friend was like floored because she was like, well, what do you mean? We was able to do this, and we like they didn't even offer that to us. And then when I bring it up, oh no, we don't do that. And so it's, it's a process. I went through it. I was totally upset, but like you said, it wasn't meant to be. Like my wife said, it wasn't meant to be.
Yeah,
Stay focused. And so that, that's why I say people need to stop, you know, brushing a broad brush of renters, because not all renters, one, want to be renters forever, and not all renters do not care about their area because they're just temporarily there. Most renters, if they're able to afford it, most renters stay there, stay in their place for a long time.
yeah.
I have a family member that has been in an apartment, the exact same apartment, for 17 years.
Yeah, I mean, I stayed for 8 years in that house, but I really wanted it until I didn't need it anymore. And then when I didn't need it, she offered it to me. I can say this too. Sometimes people just don't want the responsibility, because trust me when
Yep.
I tell you this, I've owned a house before, and it comes with a huge responsibility. I'm talking about huge. And I remember when I bought my house in Jersey, I remember the first, so the day before we closed, the day before, my mom and I'm never gonna forget this. We were sitting in KFC in a town called Woodbridge, which was about probably 40 minutes from where I live. The lady called me. She said, "Hey, you need to get renters flood insurance." And I was like, "Flood insurance by tomorrow?" I was like, "Why I need flood insurance?" She's like, "Well, they said you need flood insurance." Now, mind you, when it should have been a red flag. When the realtor took me in one day when it rained, she said, "Come on, let's go. It rain. Let's go look in the house, make sure there's no water. No water anywhere, Derek. None.
Hmm.
Dry as a chip." Call me the day before the closing. Hey, you need flood insurance, right? I'm like, so I'm having a fit because flood insurance is 2,500 and I got to pay it all like right now. I'm mad as spit. I paid the flood insurance. We close the next day. A week later, it floods. I'm
Hmm.
talking about completely 2 feet of water. I'm like, I cannot, 2 feet of water, Derek, in my basement.
Wow.
A couple of days after we closed on the house, we're at Walmart buying all this because we got a new house, buying all this stuff for the house. Come back home and there's water pouring down at the front door. You open the front, there's just water just flowing. I was like, pipe burst.
Wow.
Pipe
Yeah.
burst. 2 weeks later, the basement floods 2 feet of water. They got to come and tear all the walls out the basement, do mold remediation, and then I got to build back. I built back better,
Hmm.
right? Build back better. Let my little brother come live with me. About let me see, it was Hurricane Sandy, I think it was.
Yeah.
Hurricane Sandy comes along, 2 feet of water.
Well, at least you got flood insurance.
But I have flood insurance.
Yeah.
I
But
have
yeah, it comes with a lot of responsibility. And like I say, I mean, we get so many, you get so many perks for your rental. Like I say, one of ours that I was excited about was they cut our yard. They cut our
they don't cut
yard,
hours.
and then you get maintenance,
Yeah.
and we use ours. Oh, well, toilet clog, Yeah, I'm the man of the house. I'm the man that calls the man. Yeah, so yeah, I mean, it has its benefits, and so but some people enjoys that benefits. Like again,
Yeah.
my family member that's been in an apartment for 17 some odd years, they enjoy it. And then after she been there 17 years, and I think she had her apartment redone literally like 3 times, 17 years. So she got new appliances. They came and put out the carpet. Then now she built her own apartment. They like, okay, man, what color carpet would you like? Or do you want carpet, or do you want different type of flooring? It's like, you know and it's apartment complex, and guess what, if she have any issues, she call the maintenance and they come fix it.
Yeah, but
So
some people that's perfect though. Some people
yeah,
just don't want that responsibility, and it comes with listen. Everything in life has good and has a bad.
that's
You
just
just got to
bad.
figure out what side of the coin you want to be on. You know what I mean? It's just
But I would never, and I say this with a smile on my face, I will probably never live in an apartment like, ever again. Like
yeah, I don't know
that
about
is
an
hard.
apartment.
That's hard living for me. That's hard living.
Yeah. I
Yeah.
haven't lived in an apartment since I was probably 18.
Ooh, that was about what?
Ooh,
Well, okay,
100 years ago.
we gotta
I know
wrap up. So
I wear it well. About 100 years ago, I wear it well. Yes. Listen,
yeah.
that's all we got. Cut it out. That's all we got right now. This has been interesting. I love. Listen, one thing I said to Derek is I said I like these conversations that we have, and trust me, I know they're gonna get a little bit more heated as we move down the down the election street. I
Ooh,
already know.
22 gonna be a beast.
Ooh, 22 gonna be a beast. So I almost called Derek on Tuesday. I was like, look, we need to go live and do like a live session, like while the election is going on, while they counting the ballots. I almost said it, right? And I was like, nah, it's family time. Like
Yeah.
right now, he got about an hour because he's supposed to be with his family right now. So I'm about to let him go. You got 4 minutes left to hang out with your family. That sucks, y'all. I know.
Yeah.
Listen. Thank y'all for joining in. LinkedIn, LinkedIn people. Thank y'all for joining in. Facebook people, I see you watching us. Thank you for joining in. And listen, if you guys want to get on our show, go to popcornandpolitics.com. You want to be a guest on the show, go to popcornandpolitics.com. There is a guest form on that page. If you want to come on the show, we'll talk to you. We don't care who you are. I say that with a side eye.
I mean, we'll talk to anybody.
We'll
Just
talk to
make sure
anybody.
that you're prepared to defend um
Your point,
your platform.
your platform.
Yep.
We'll talk to you. All right, Derek, thank you again for hosting this with me. I'm out of here. You enjoy your family. And listen, guys, we'll be back again next Sunday at 1 p.m. So be sure to tune in and follow us on Facebook, Instagram, and we're on Twitter. Not yet, not Twitter
Not
yet.
yet.
Facebook and Instagram. Also, we are streaming live on Roku, but it's also live there. We have a channel on Roku now. So if you
Oh
got a
wow.
Roku, go to Popcorn and Politics on the Noise Network. No, I think it's on there by itself. No, it's on the Noise. No, it's on there by itself, Derek.
It's on Roku.
Popcorn and Politics.
Popcorn and politics. And
By
also we
itself.
can't forget that we're on American One Radio.
Oh my God, I
I
forget to say that.
mean,
Listen, we also
yeah.
streaming live on American One Radio. So thank you, American One Radio, for broadcasting us live. We really appreciate you for that. Listen, we still a little rough around the edges. We're getting it down, Pat. This is only our second or third episode?
Third.
Third episode. We're getting better, guys. Listen, y'all know I talk every day, Monday through Friday, Monday through Thursday, but I'm talking by myself. Just on Sundays, I'm talking with Derek and some political hopefuls or political leaders. We're going to get more of them coming on too. So just make sure to tune in and follow us. Show us some love. You can listen to the show on Apple Podcasts and all those places. Follow us and subscribe to the show there. Thank you again. Go and enjoy your family. I'll talk to you later, my brother. Until next time, people, make it a great day. Bye now.
Bye. Have a good one.
You've been listening to Popcorn in Politics. What's the real deal? Hosted by Audrey Bell Kearney and Derek J. Wilson. Be sure to subscribe to the show and share it with your family and friends. To support the show, visit us on the web at www.popcornandpolitics.com. Connect with us on Facebook at Progressive Popcorn and on Instagram at Popcorn Politics Podcast.